All right, thank you all for joining us. We're so excited to be here with JC from Harmony Music Therapy. JC brings harmony to the workplace, wellness programs, and therapeutic groups through her company, Harmony Music Therapy. She has 10 years of experience as a board-certified music therapist, working with a range of clients from children with severe autism to depression and anxiety and workplace wellness.
Hopefully they're not waiting. Why do you need them?
She spent 5 years as the musical therapist at Jordan Valley School in Midvale, Utah, where she worked with individuals with severe to profound disabilities ages 3 to 22. And she also directs the Utah Special Needs Resource Forum on Facebook. And I don't know if you guys have seen us, but we've been on that forum. It's a great resource. And she's passionate about the power of music to help others experience joy, overcome challenges, and discover and maximize natural strengths. Her life's work is focused on helping her clients discover and honor their unique purpose. So with that, I'm going to turn the time over to you, JC. Thanks.
Thank you so much. My hope for the next hour, 45 minutes, is that you'll be able to take away some content that is going to help you like right away, whether that's helping your kids to work through some social emotional challenges, or even yourself. Honestly, we all need help, right? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and we will just jump in. So yeah, like Camille said, I'm a music therapist. Oops, that is not the button I meant to push. Sorry. So I'm a music therapist and have focused on special needs and mental health populations. And I love getting to use music to help people work through some really difficult things. Because music is just a really powerful, expressive tool, and not just with expression also, but it can affect your brain, how you process speech and language and movement and cognitive skills, memory, attention, so many different things that music can access that makes it a pretty amazing therapeutic tool. So what I'll be sharing with you today is focused on emotional and social skills. And so I'd love to know how many of you are parents of kids with special needs, or what your connection is here. And I think, I can open up my chat so I can see that as it comes in. So if you want to just put a little chat, like what it is that brings you here, so that I can kind of tailor it a little bit more specifically to what your needs are. So you can go ahead and put that in the chat. But first, while you're putting that in there, wanting to look at the question first, why music? Like, why is music a therapy? We talk, and music therapy is pretty unique because, you talk about speech therapy, which obviously works on helping kids with speech, and then physical therapies, helping kids with physical challenges, and occupational therapy. It's one that's like a little bit more gray area to understand sometimes, but it's functional skills, right? Being able to get to a state where you're able to function and have the skills that you need. So music therapy, it's not the same kind of way of defining it. It's not helping people to be able to play music, right? It's using music to help people accomplish so many other things. So that's in social skills, communication, cognitive development, motor skills, emotional regulation. Music affects everything. And so it's not a therapy to teach music. It's a therapy using music to help us be able to process and do so many other things. So the reason we use music is, first off, because it's engaging. Music by nature grabs our attention. It's fun in times when we need something fun, and it can grab our emotions when we need something to really resonate with us. So it's engaging, it's motivating. When we work with kids, there's some kids that I've worked with who have been referred by other therapists. There's one in particular that was referred by a speech therapist, and she's like, the whole time I'm working with him, he's running away. He's not interested in the puzzles and in the water beads and all this stuff that I've got. But when I sing, he's curious, like he wants to do stuff. And so we started working together And this child who had almost no speech started to develop language because it was motivating for him. I would sing a song and leave off the last word, and then he started to make an effort to say those words and to communicate. So it's engaging, it's motivating, it's expressive, especially when we don't have the words to say what we're feeling. Music can do it. And this isn't just for kids that might have delayed language. This is for us too. If you've ever had that song that you're just like, I need to listen to that song right now because I don't know how to say how I feel, but this song says it. Music is expressive that way. It reaches so deep into just who we are as people. And in a brain chemistry kind of thing, it reaches into the limbic system where we process emotions and helps us to be able to process much more than we can verbally. It's calming. It can really calm down the system, and it can do the opposite too. It's energizing. If you're ever feeling like, I don't really want to work out, but I'm going to turn on this song and suddenly I have the energy to do it. It affects our body in such deep ways. And then it can synchronize the senses and the whole body. So if you've got a child, or if you ever feel dysregulated, like things are just not synchronizing, not firing at the same time, you just feel anxious or in fight or flight mode, it can bring all of those senses together, and it does that through rhythm. It stimulates the whole brain. Sometimes we talk about music being a right-brained thing that's creative and has, it's people who are right-brained are artistic, right? But music is the whole brain. It lights up everything on the right side and so much on the left side, speech language centers and motor centers and sensory centers and everything. It's even going down into the hindbrain and other areas that are deeper, that are more responsible for subconscious thought, as well as like body movement. So if you've ever noticed you're tapping your foot to a song and you didn't even think about it, your body just kicks into it. And that's because of the way it impacts other areas of the brain, like the cerebellum and other lower, more primal areas of the brain. So it stimulates everything, which means we can use it. If there's areas that aren't working, we can access them using music. It's also accessible. Anyone can create, anyone can play. And we have a lot of different kinds of instruments in music therapy that allow anyone to play, even if they have no background. For example, a xylophone like this, that's got just certain notes on it. If I give a client this instrument, I can play things on my guitar or piano that's going to make any note here is going to sound good. So it's accessible. And even if they can't grasp this, I can have, there's certain things I can make it so they're able to grasp it, but we're able to set things up in music so anybody can create and anybody can express. And it's also social. When you're playing music with someone else, by nature, you've got to listen to what's happening around you. And even if our client's maybe not listening, maybe if they're kind of in their own world, I listen to them. I hear what they're creating. Maybe if they walk by a drum and just hit it a few times, I can go on the piano and play the same thing back. And then they hit the drum again. And then we can change it. And suddenly we start to interact together through music. So why music? Because it does so much. It's so all encompassing. And thank you so much for the comments in here. So it's good to know. Most of us are parents. Okay. And then there's some who have Down syndrome. Awesome. Okay. I'm so happy to have everybody here. Cool. Okay. So what role does music play for you? So before I talk about what it can do for your child, if you're a parent, I want you to think about yourself first. When is it that you listen to music? And I'd love, if you want to put these in the comments too, or if anyone wants to say anything out loud, I'd love any interaction there as well. So, but when do you listen to music and for what purpose? There's some ideas here. Maybe and you can put, maybe if there's one that stands out the most to you, you can put that in the chat. But is it for leisure? Like when I'm bored, I just kind of want to listen to something. Is it to process emotions? That's a big one for me. If I'm like dealing with something that I'm like, I don't understand this. Like sometimes I'll find a song that I'm like, oh, that's it. Like I feel that. Like that helps me so much to process this. Katuska says, when you drive, cook, clean, and exercise. Nice. So it's kind of leisure, relaxation. It kind of fills the space, gives you something to focus on, right? So that's kind of in this recreational kind of area as well. And recreation can be social too, like going dancing or listening to a song with somebody else, playing music together if you are a musician. It can be nice for relaxation sometimes. And relaxation does not mean that it's quiet music. Sometimes you relax by listening to something really intense if you're feeling really intense, and it can calm your system down. And then also we might use it to increase our understanding of something, whether that's an emotional thing or a concept, like learning how to wash your hands with a specific song. Like that, I'll do that with kids, but that's the same kind of thing with some songs as an adult. Like we can learn through music about so many different things. So, okay, so someone else says, Hershey says, definitely processing emotions and relaxation. Nice. Me too. Okay, so now we're going to think about your kids. What role does music play for your child? So same thing, right? And the more aware you are of how you use music, the more you're going to be able to support your child and how they can potentially tap into that to help with certain areas. So do they need more leisure skills? My kids, so I've got 4 kids age, now they're 3, 5, 7, and 9. And my 2 youngest, my 3 and 5-year-old, are obsessed with Spotify. Like that's like they work for it every day to get some time with Spotify because they just love leisurely listening to music. They'll go on, and I highly recommend this. Like if you're looking for more things for your kids to do that are not like, I'm going to tune out of the world and play games kind of thing or whatever. We love Spotify. I have it maybe on like an iPad or on the computer, but they can create their own playlists. And for my kids, they soundtrack their play using Spotify. So if they're playing dinosaurs, they'll turn on a Jurassic Park theme song and play dinosaurs with the theme song on. And then this morning they turned on Mission Impossible and got sunglasses and were being spies, right? Like the music just broadens this whole experience that they're having and can make it really fun. But it's just a really nice leisure skill to listen and to not have like visual images happening, but to just listen. Visual images is fine too, but this is just a different kind of a leisure skill. Other things your kids might want to do are recreation with music. Maybe they could really enjoy dancing to music or creating music. Relaxation. I don't know if any of you are already using music to help your kids relax, but it can be extremely effective. There's times, so I homeschool my kids. And so there's certain times where it's getting kind of crazy with all 4 of them. And so I'll turn on just maybe classical music in the background, or it doesn't even have to be classical. It can be kids radio. I love Raffi Family Radio on Pandora. And that becomes, sometimes it's relaxation with a quieter song, or sometimes it becomes this social thing where everyone's like, oh, I love this song, and we start dancing. But it can really kind of set the tone to have music playing. And then it also, for your kids, it can help understanding and learning. If you think about it, we all know the ABCs, random collection of 26 letters. We can all say it in the exact same order because it's put to a song. And it's the same thing with so many other concepts. I worked with a girl who had seizure disorders that took 3 years to memorize her address as it was one of her IEP goals. And then she moved. So her teacher was like, what do we do? It took so long because her brain just does not retain information very easily. And so she asked if I could come in and try to help with learning this new address. And so I put it to a song, and 8 years later, I will always remember the song. So it's, if someone needs my address, this is what I tell them. 8656 South Mount Majestic Road, Sandy, Utah, 84093. Right? So she learned this address. I brought her into the music therapy room once a week for about 15 minutes, and I would sing it with her, and then I'd leave off the last part. So 8650, and then she'd say 6 South Mount Majestic Road, Sandy, Utah 84093. All right, so I gradually leave off words and she'd fill them in. And as opposed to 3 years before with just saying the address, this time it took 11 weeks at 15 minutes a week for her to memorize that. And this became like a source of pride for her. Like if she was ever having a hard time, like there would be times that her class was walking down the hall and she would just sit down and refuse to go where the rest of her peers were going. If I happened to walk by, I'd be like, hey, can you tell me your address? If someone needs my address, this is what I tell them. And she would light up and she'd start singing her address. And I'd pick her up and she'd start walking with me as she was singing her address because she was so excited to know something. Like she knew it and she could tell you anytime. So it's amazing how music enabled her to retain that information in a way that nothing else really could. And so we started using music a lot more in her learning process because it just worked for her. It made a huge difference. So if any of these stood out to you, if you feel like your child is struggling in any of these areas more than another, you might have a child where you're like, yes, all of it, please. But if any of these stands out more, just take note of that. What do they need? Do they need more leisure skills? Do they need more help processing emotions, social skills, relaxation, or cognitive retention, stuff like that? But we're going to focus a little bit more today on social and emotional skills. So specifically social skills, why we look at those. It seems obvious, but at the same time, it's nice to articulate it. So social skills can help your child make friends, learn from others, and develop hobbies and interests. So it's not just about learning how to take turns and like notice other people in the environment, but it's important to be able to be with other people and learn from other people and know that, you have something to contribute, and noticing what others have to contribute as well. And these skills can also help with family relationships and help your child to feel a sense of belonging. And that's really, as a parent, personally, that's my number one desire for my kids, is that they feel like they belong somewhere, that people pay attention to them, that they love them, and that they care about what they think and feel. And those social skills, developing social skills, can dramatically influence that. And then specifically with emotional regulation, it's essential to children's day-to-day life because it affects their understanding of situations, especially when things are hard. It can help them understand how they respond, their behavior, and their enjoyment of life. Supporting children to understand and manage emotions also provides them with skills they'll use in adulthood. And really, emotional regulation is something all of us are working on. It doesn't matter if we've got special needs or not. We all have needs and we have emotional needs. And so the more that we as parents are able to understand and regulate our own emotions, the more we can really step into understanding what our kids are experiencing and what they might need as far as emotional regulation. So just a little bit more on how music impacts these areas. Again, it's interactive. So of course it can help with social skills. It requires listening when playing with others. So again, there's that social and emotional piece. Like, how do you manage that if you're getting agitated? How can you still engage with the people around you? It invites expressive freedom. We want to know who your kids are. We want to hear, like, are you feeling intense right now? Grab the drum and let's play. Right? And while you play, I'm going to play too. Right? So we can engage in this musical experience together with this expressive freedom, especially if it's this one-on-one, like a therapist and a child, or you and your child being able to play and create sound together. It can also bring out strengths and hidden gifts. If that is, some kids are just naturally musically gifted, or they're just very creative with what they put out there as far as sound and engaging in creative ways. It helps us to be able to communicate without words. We can't always explain what we feel, but we can often learn how to play what we feel. And allows us to process emotions with the whole brain and express emotions with the whole brain, and then manage, synchronize, and regulate the sensory system. So we're going to dig in a little bit more to what you actually do. So this is all nice in theory, but what do you actually do? So first idea, so I've got 8 different points here that I'm, I hopefully will be able to get through them all. So the first is to express emotions through music. And this idea that pairing emotions to music makes them more concrete. The child can speak through music instead of words and feel more connected to their environment on an emotional level. So like I've said a couple times and does the piano sound weird? Like, is it hard to hear that? I hope not. I hope it sounds okay. Okay, cool. So when, like, as a therapist, if there's a child who walks in that might be like grumpy, I might play like this, right? So it kind of reflects what they're feeling. But if you've got a child who, like, and maybe you're not musical, you're not able to sit at the piano and do that, and that's, most people don't do that. That's why we go to school for music therapy. But if you have like instruments at home and are able to reflect what your child is doing or feeling, it can be such a cool way to connect and to show them that it's okay to feel and express things. So one idea is to bring out some instruments. Maybe if you have any drums, and most people I guess don't have drums, but a kazoo, if you've got a piano at home, a guitar, and encourage your child to play their instrument in ways that express a few different emotions. So this could be as simple as using the zones of regulation cards. So these are things that I've just printed off online, and I'll just go through this really quick. And I'm sorry, this is super grainy, but the zones of regulation, if you haven't seen this before, just a quick description of what this is. So the blue zone is sad, sick, tired, bored, kind of just low energy. And so I love using this Inside Out character for that. The green zone is calm and happy. You're feeling okay, focused and ready to learn. The yellow zone is, this yellow zone is kind of all over, honestly. It can be like really excited, like to the point where they're out of control, or even afraid or overwhelmed, but mostly it's like their sensory system is kind of out of whack is what's going on with the yellow zone. We all know what that's like, right? When you're feeling anxious. And then the red zone is more straightforward. It's angry and mad, yelling, hitting, maybe out of control. So what I like to do on this, and that you could totally do at home, even like at the kitchen table, hitting the kitchen table, you could say, okay, let's play blue. What does that sound like? And they just might hit the table slowly, or we might even rub the table. Like, what does that sound like? And what does anxious sound like? And maybe it's kind of a quick moving fast, right? That they're hitting the table like that. And then what's green zone sound like? And that might be kind of a upbeat rhythm, right? And then what's anger? And then they might just pound on the table, right? But when you are giving this expressive tool to emotion that's not saying, okay, tell me how you feel, because they might not even know. You might just notice they're getting maybe a little bit riled up and say, you look like you're in the yellow zone right now. Can we play that on the table, or can we play that on the kazoo or the piano? Like, what does that sound like for you? So yellow zone might be kind of like crazy, all right? Or it looks like you're in the green zone. What's that like? Right? It's just kind of happy, I'm ready, or sad. I mean, so they get to choose how they express that. And maybe they get to choose their zone as you just maybe hold up a main sheet of that. But putting it into sound or rhythm can give a whole different way of processing it and understanding. So another way to apply this is if you have young children, you could use a song like Happy and You Know It. If you're sad and you know it, play like this. Or rub it, right? Or if you're angry and you know it, play like this. Okay. So putting it into a song, it makes it a little more concrete, and then it can become a game. And you can even go through all of the emotions and show what it's like when you get that. For older children, if they don't like Happy and You Know It, you could draw pictures of different emotions and play them on different instruments and just kind of see what comes up. How do they express that? And I mean, there's just so much you can do with this, but the main idea is express emotion through sound, music, and rhythm. I see something. What about for young adults with Down syndrome? Okay, I need to remember my cell number more and my address as well. That helps a lot. Okay, good, cool. Taylor, we could write a song for you. Okay, so young adults with Down syndrome. So is the question, how can a young adult with Down syndrome express emotion through music? If anyone wants to unmute and clarify that.
I think Taylor sent it accidentally to me, but she had that question. Taylor, do you want to ask specifically how you want to do that? What you want? She said, how can you do that for young adult with Down syndrome? I like and love the pictures because I am a visual learner. It helps my brain with music. It helps me a lot because I love music and pictures. But I think you were talking about the colors and emotions.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, Taylor, you could even think, if you don't play music, you can even do this with recorded songs. If there's songs that you already love to listen to, maybe you can listen to a few and see, this one might be a red one. This one sounds like an angry song and I listen to it when I feel angry. Or maybe you can choose other ones and maybe this one's a sad song. This one is my blue song that I listen to. And we'll talk about that in another one. But do you want to say anything more about what you're thinking right now?
Yes, I do. With that is, I'm gonna say this to you. So I have a roommate, okay, and she's very talented on the guitar, and I love it. Oh my God! So when she plays her guitar, it helps me to stay calm and relaxing. I don't know why. I don't know why, but it does. And to me, about having her play it, it's like to me, I can talk how I'm feeling. It helps me.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, yeah, just sit with that music. Like it'll say things that you can't say. Like you'll be able to feel things with it that don't come without music. So yeah, just let that kind of wrap you up like a blanket and enjoy the sound. That's awesome. Yeah. What a cool thing to have a roommate that does that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So a concept that I have found to be incredibly important to, honestly, not just to teach my kids, but to kind of come to accept myself, is that feelings are like waves. And this is a nice visual to teach for your kids. You can even get a picture of the ocean or watch images of waves, but to say that they're like waves, they come and go, and it's okay to feel them. We all feel anger, sadness, fear, happiness. And even though in the moment it feels like whatever we're feeling is going to stay forever, it never does. It's always going to move on and it's always going to change. So one way I like to term this is feelings are like visitors, which again kind of comes back nicely to the Inside Out characters. Okay, is fear visiting right now? What's he saying to you? Like, what does it feel like? What does it sound like? Or is sadness visiting? Is she maybe visiting because someone was rude to you at school? Okay, what does sadness want to say before she goes? So it's not about ignoring or moving past the emotion and getting back to a regulated state. It's acknowledging what's there and letting that sit for a little bit, knowing that it's not going to stick around forever. It's when we ignore things that they do kind of stick around forever. We cover it up and bury it and then hope it's gone. But if it didn't really pass through us like a wave, we just kind of created a dam and then we're just like suppressing everything. So we want to teach our kids that feelings will come and go. I just created this little song to describe it. I use this with my kids a fair amount. It's very simple though. It just goes, feelings are like waves, they come and go. Sometimes I am happy, I let it show. Sometimes I am sad and I even cry. But feelings are like waves, they pass me by. So you could use a song like this and leave a blank. So I'll go, feelings are like waves, they come and go. Sometimes I am, and I leave a blank and I let my kids fill in that space. And my daughter will say, angry. And I let it show. And then I'll say, what do you do when you're angry? And she'll start to stomp her feet or she'll scream or whatever that is. But yeah, that's what we do when we feel angry. And sometimes and they fill in the blank. And so it's just a nice way for them to be able to express and identify how to cope and understand it's okay to feel that. You don't have to fight it. let yourself feel it. I'll be here with you, and it's going to pass, and it'll all be okay. And to remember that for ourselves too, because sometimes we feel like it's going to stick around forever and things are never going to get better, but the feeling will pass. Okay, another concept is coping skills. So how to teach coping skills through music. So you can make a list of things that your child can do when they feel angry, sad, or afraid. And you can put it into a song, or just say it to a rhythm to help them remember. So if there's maybe things on this list that they do more often, maybe when they're angry, they need to take a break, or say what I feel, yell into my pillow, right? You can put it to a rhythm so they'll remember. When I'm angry, I say what I feel and I yell into my pillow, yell into my pillow. Oh, when I'm angry, I say what I feel and I take a break, right? So you can put, it can be so simple, but just to put something into a repetitive thing, you can even write it down so they can remember that in the heat of the moment, this is what they can do. This works really well for my 9-year-old. And recently he got super mad. I don't even remember what he was mad about, but he went into the front room and screamed into a pillow for about 20 minutes. And then he kind of emerged and played the piano for a while and moved on with his day. But it's nice when they have tools so that when I feel out of control or so angry, these are the things that I can do. And you can talk about it beforehand and even make a list. And when they're feeling angry, say, it looks like you might need to go yell. How about you go do that? Or it looks like you might need a hug if they're not going to hurt you. How about let's do that, right? So they kind of know there are some options when I feel this. And then again, putting it to a rhythm or to a song can just help them remember. Just like the address, it can stay in their brain. Another one is an emotional regulation playlist. So Taylor, this is kind of what I was talking about a little bit, but you can create a playlist with your child with songs that represent certain emotions. So they can use this where if they are feeling intense emotions, or if they are feeling happy or sad or whatever that is, you can put on that music to help them understand and reinforce these concepts of this is what emotion is. Right now, you look like you're feeling sad. This is what it sounds like to be sad. And they can kind of choose which ones fit right. One that I kind of feel like is a sad song is Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven. I love that piece so much. It just sounds so melancholy, but you can work with your child to find ones that can represent that. And that can be a really great coping skill and leisure skill. It can even be a game. Like you play a song and be like, hey, which emotion does this sound like? What do you think they were feeling when they wrote this? Or, you know, in the mob song from Beauty and the Beast, what were they feeling when they were saying, let's go get this beast, right? What must have they been feeling to go to that point, right? Do you ever feel that way yourself, and so forth? So music can be a great way to start discussions. Requesting a break. So teaching your child to ask for a break. Because, you know, as you all probably know, as you said, you were parents, your child's not going to be in a space to talk about their feelings when they're feeling like crazy and out of control, right? And depending on, like, if your child has autism and they're not verbal, they might never really be in a space to talk about it, but just to express it, right? So learning how to cope, this is just another skill to cope, is requesting a break. And there's this Spotify album, Music to Help the Child with Special Needs, or whatever that's called, that's got a couple songs that I like to use. These are ones that I wrote that I've used with the kids that I've worked with. But the When I Get Angry, that just talks about when I'm angry, this is what I do. And in this case, it goes through these steps, like first what she's doing that doesn't work, I throw my arms and hit, and then I get time out. Like I have to be separated. And then it changes to a better choice would be to tell my teacher that I need a break. I can say it, I need a break. I can sign it, I need a break. Then I'll get a break. So I created this song, and I didn't play the whole song, but I created this song that goes through this whole sequence, almost like a little bit of a story of what happens when she has a meltdown, and she started to ask for breaks. I mean, she still had meltdowns, but while she was in her meltdown, she'd be saying, break, 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 break. Like she recognized, I need to have some time to myself right now. And so through music, you can really teach these concepts. Another one is teaching resilience. And this is one that goes, it's okay if it's hard, just keep trying. It's okay not to win, as long as you play. It's okay if it's hard, just keep trying. You'll get a little better each day. Okay, so sometimes when your kid's doing something that's hard, they might need a break. Like it's okay that this is hard. Let's take a break and then we'll keep on trying. But again, teaching these concepts through music can just make them more memorable, and they'll know to understand the concepts a little bit better. Okay, if there's any questions that are coming up right now that I'm missing, you can make sure to put those in the chat and I'll watch that as well. Okay, I had more ideas. Breathing techniques. Box breathing is one that I really love. If you have ever done it before, it's a fairly simple concept. So you breathe in for 4, 3, 4. You hold it for 4 counts. You breathe out for 4, 2, 3, 4, and then you hold it for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you do it again. Hold it, out, hold it. And that can be really nice to do when your kid is starting to de-escalate, or maybe before they escalate. And if you've got a drum or some way to tap out the rhythm, that can help too. So if I'm working with kids in music therapy, I'll use the drum to tap it out. So I'll say breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Right. So it gives some structure to learning how to breathe through your emotions. Another one that I love is 4, 7, 8 breathing. It's breathing in for 4 counts, holding for 7, and breathing out for 8. And that's one that you can just count with your kids. But the concept of this is based on something called parasympathetic breathing, which is when you breathe in and then you breathe out longer than the time it took for you to breathe in. And there's something with that kind of a breath that calms down your parasympathetic nervous system, which is what gets sent into fight or flight mode. And so singing is effective for relaxation because it is by nature parasympathetic. Because we breathe in and then we breathe out for a long time because you're singing. So if your child ever gets to a point where they can breathe in, it doesn't have to be a song, but just and this is even something like as a parent for my kids, or when I'm working with kids that have just had an escalation phase, I'll do this sound for them, even if their body's not ready to do this kind of breathing. I'll model it as I hold them. So I'll breathe in like loud enough that they can hear it, and then I just do a big long sigh. And then breathe in. Right, keeping my voice down low. But I found that can make a really big difference in helping kids to de-escalate, and they might even start to do it with me, using that parasympathetic kind of a thing. If they're not cognitively ready to do it themselves, just hearing an adult do it and feeling that vibration of breathing out, right, it can be really, really calming. So yeah, I love breathing techniques. Calm sounds, kind of the same idea. So if you are trying to promote relaxation, either when your child's maybe escalating or if they've just reached a peak and they're starting to de-escalate, the lower your voice is, the more calm they're going to be able to be. And if you've got any songs that they love, you could sing those in kind of a low voice. Like, lavender's blue, dilly dilly, lavender's green, right? Instead of singing it up high, lavender's blue, right? So I found that the lower voices, that lower frequency can really help to regulate the system. And then modeling parasympathetic breathing, there it is right there. So taking a big breath in and a low sound out. Another way to use calm sounds is just to play calm music throughout the times of day that are most stressful. So if you have difficult mornings, it can be nice to just put on some calm music. Again, taking note that calm for you might be completely different than what someone else defines as calm. It might be more energetic for you, and that's okay. It doesn't have to, there's not like one size fits all. In fact, yeah, I put this note here. There's no magic Mozart music that calms everybody. You just need to explore and find what works for your child. There might be classical, Enya, nature sounds, spa music. It might even be just like a more energetic kind of music, and just whatever works for you. So yeah, to identify what are the times of day that might seem most stressful. And in most cases, it has something to do surrounding transitions. Again, like in the morning, if you're kind of transitioning to the start of your day, or maybe if your kids go to school, they get home, those are transition times. And so you could play something in the car and then start it when you get inside of the house. But the music can really kind of help to set some kind of expectation and help to prepare and keep the body well regulated. And the last idea is a calm song. So if you're looking at trying to have some kind of predictability and routine, you can do that through having a specific song that you use when you are helping your child to kind of stop an escalation or to de-escalate. So one example that I've used a fair amount, I do this at the end of most of my sessions when I'm working with kids, so that then their parents can utilize it, and because the child has heard it in so many calm situations, it suddenly becomes like the signal for the body to start to calm down. So it just goes like this. Reach your arms up high, and they start to move their body, and bring them way down low, and they touch their toes. Reach your arms up high, bring them way down low. Right. So there's a recording of this specific song, or if there's other songs that your kids just love, and that's not the whole song, there's more to it, but for the sake of time, I won't sing the whole thing. But if you listen to a specific song, maybe at night, if things are calm, but getting them to hear it in a certain situation when they're feeling a certain way, then you can bring that out when things are a little bit more tense, and it might help to be able to de-escalate that. You can't do it when they're just like totally in fight or flight mode. That won't work. It takes some time to work through that, but this can work to help when they're starting to come out of it, to really grab and move that back to that regulated state of the green zone if they've practiced it. So what you would do is first choose your calming song, and listen to it consistently. Schedule a time when your child is already calm, and just maybe do it every night, or maybe first thing in the morning. And then use the song to help your child feel calm and regain control after a meltdown. So I'm curious if there's any questions before we move on to what it looks like in music therapy that anybody wants to ask. We'll have more time for questions at the end too, but if you have anything, you can go put it in the chat or unmute. It's okay too. Okay, so I'll jump onto this one. So working with a music therapist. So as Camille mentioned, I'm a board certified music therapist, which means I did my bachelor's in music therapy, and then you have to do a 6-month internship, and then you have to pass a board exam. And so it's not just like, I like music and I love kids, which I do, both of them. But there's so much training to be able to do it. So that's music therapy. There might be people who do kinder music, which is awesome, like lots of different musical things, but music therapy is different in its own way, because we've got training in lots of musical training in addition to psychology and the needs of kids with special needs and psychological needs and research. And there's a lot that goes into that degree. So I love the field so much. Obviously, that's why I'm here. And so in music therapy, like I mentioned earlier, we're trained in how to use music to address these different needs. So social skills, emotional regulation, speech, language, communication, motor development, and cognitive development. So I highlighted how that looks, how that works for a lot of those things. But there's a lot that I could talk about with communication, how it affects speech and language, and how kids can sometimes start to use language that they didn't use without music, and motor development. And there's so much that happens with music. There's a lot more. So how you can access it. So my practice, Harmony Music Therapy, we serve kids in a lot of different counties in Utah, but we do offer free 30-minute trial sessions. If you ever wanted to just see, like, what does this look like for my child? Is this something that would really benefit them to do it one-on-one? And we do in-person virtual options. But then another option that we've just created because of the pandemic, if you're not able to do this in person, or if there's a financial strain, we created this online parent course we call Music Made Simple. It's been really awesome. Like, parents are loving it. So it's got 8 different themed virtual sessions, and the themes being, let's work on fine motor, let's work on gross motor, let's work on communicating, let's work on transitions and routines and relaxation, emotional regulation. We know we do a lot with the zones of regulation in there. But there's 8 different 30-minute sessions with one of our music therapists who filmed all of these, that they're so cute. They're so fun. And the kids that watch these are just like a lot of parents are telling us that their kids are like, oh, I want to watch Cassie. Like, and we send you an instrument bag that's part of the fee of it. So you'll have all of the instruments that they're using in the videos, and that's just gets sent to your door, and you can play along and do all of the things that you would be doing. The only difference, of course, like if it was in-person music therapy, it would be individualized and we'd be working on specific goals. But this way, you still get to access it. You can still have your kids benefit from playing music and having songs and strategies that are specifically geared to helping your kids develop these different skills. So that's been really nice for a lot of parents that weren't able to do traditional music therapy. And then in addition to that, we've also got handouts with all of, like, the stuff that I talked about today is from only just 2 of the modules. There's 6 more modules that's got ideas for things that you can use at home with your kids, in addition to one video with each of the 8 modules, where I'm talking about like more of the science behind it and ideas on what you can do at home to help your kids using music, using music. So anyway, there's the link here if you're interested in doing that course. But it's been a really nice option for parents who just want more fun and productive things to do with their kids. We've got a lot of parents that just say their kids are turning it on, like one has a difficult procedure, like a medical procedure every week, and they always turn on the session, or they choose one of his favorites, and that helps them to get through that. So good for leisure skills too. And then, I think that's all. So Camille, do you want me to just jump into any questions right now?
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask JC right now. I think one of the questions that we had is, are we able to get the slideshow and share that with our families?
Yeah, I can send that on.
Perfect.
No
if you just want to
problem
send
at
that to me and Sylvia, we can get that out to our families.
Sure.
And then if anyone else has any questions, JC's available right now, or we can send out your contact information too, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I have a question on the individual sessions. What is the cost for that? Is it different for different age groups?
It's the same across age groups. So we do 30-minute sessions or 45-minute sessions, and it's $60 for a 30-minute session or $75 for a 45-minute session. So, and then I've priced this online course. It's currently, I've got it at $97 right now. Normally it's going to be $147. So, I mean, it's a pretty good deal. Like, if you think a 45-minute session is $75, and this is only like $20 more than that. So if you wanted to try that too, that's available. But insurance, unfortunately, does not cover music therapy except as an out-of-network service, and we just haven't found that to be all that effective. But we can take HSA or FSA cards.
So on the 8 full modules for the class, The instruments, are they varied by age groups?
No, but there, I can grab my bag if you want to see what's in there. There's some little things in there that like look like they're for toddlers. There's like a little shakers that look like ladybugs and they're cute, but there's a lot of stuff in there that is pretty age appropriate for any age. So if you got an older child, it would be appropriate, I would think so. Anything else? Any other ideas or things that you guys see using music for? Anything like that? Oh, Taylor said have problems staying in bed and staying asleep. Yeah, music can be a really, really nice way to get ready for bed and to kind of get calm. Yeah.
Thank you so much, JC. Are there any other last minute questions before we sign off? Well,
Well, I hope this is helpful. I hope that you've got some tools or things that you feel like you can apply. Music is awesome.
that was so great, JC. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone that came today. We're so grateful to have all of you. And we'll see you at our next webinar coming up in a couple weeks. Oh, it looks like we might have another question.
Specific limit of sessions per week, or is it okay if it's almost every day? If this is for in-person therapy, there's not a limit. I mean, obviously like financial strain starts to become a factor there, but yeah. And then with the online course, if that's what you were referring to, yeah, you could do it every day. You could do it multiple times a day if you wanted to. So it's just, yeah, whatever you feel like is best for your child.
And this session was recorded, and we'll send out that recording on Monday.